Okay, so last class we have completed chemical synthesis of nanostructured materials. We started with we had an humble beginning. We started with nucleation, growth. Then we went on to study about the reduction precipitation method. Then we moved to uh, I think sol gel process, self assembly, hydrothermal, CVD, and then we have connected carbon nanotube in the last class. Okay, so today we will see physical synthesis of nanostructured materials. Is there any physical methods to make nanostructured materials? Okay. So, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have already introduced physical methods. So in which there are no reactions taking place in physical methods. No reaction is taking place in the physical methods. It's a physical process. It's making a statue from the stone, not building the house from the scratches. It's exactly like ball milling. It's exactly flooring. From the large grains, you get a flour. Maybe from wheat, you get a wheat flour or any other flours. No reactions taking place. Material remains the same. So we have also seen that. So there is a lot of wastages in this. And it is possible to make a very large surfaces, very large thin film. For example, if you use a sputtering, large size, large area of the sputtering can be done. That is not suitable with the chemical process. In chemical process, there are other advantages. You can fine tune the composition, you can fine tune the morphology, size, shape, structure, etc. But large structure, thin film, it is not possible to make. Maybe precipitation method or sol gel method. But in physical method, it is possible. There are several physical such processes can be adapted to synthesize or fabricate nanomaterials, nanoproduct, or nanofabrication simply. So these are the some of the methods: lithography, ball milling, sputtering, epitaxy, vapor depositions. Similar to chemical vapor deposition, we have here PVD, physical vapor depositions. Similar process, but without no reaction. Similar process, but no reactions taking place, and we name it as a PVD, physical vapor depositions. Somebody join. Okay, so I have a bulk material like this. I have a material like this, starting material. I want to have quantum wells like this. Any chemical method will facilitate, will provide such opportunity for me to get this kind of nanostructures. You see, very fascinating nanostructure, right? This thickness or the width or diameter, assume that it is a nano. Quantum wells, engineered quantum wells. And you have to get from this structure or this material. So this blue color is some material and this green is another material and repeated, and it is in the bulk. Micron size, micron size, micron size. Now you have constructed quantum wells. This is real quantum well, you can assume. So far I used to show only a sheet, quantum well. Now this is like a typical well, quantum well, very deep. Is it possible to get by chemical methods such structure? No reaction is taking place, same material. For example, if you assume this is cadmium sulfide and this is zinc selenide, You get the same cadmium sulfide and zinc selenide, but now preferably in quantum wells. From the bulk, you are getting nanostructure. No reactions taking place, but it is possible to get. The physical method will facilitate to provide or help us to make such nanostructures. Essentially, you will have to do something. A method known as lithography can provide such nanostructures. A method known as lithography can provide such structures. Very specifically, for example, if you want to get this kind of nano coating or nano quantum well or a nanostructure on some substrate from the bulk material, you will have to apply a photolithography or electron beam lithography or ion beam lithography. Simply lithography. There are three types you can do that. Photolithography. So it means, so the process involved in this nanofabrication essentially involves photons, radiation. We'll come back to that. What is lithography? We'll study. Instead of photon, you can also make use of electrons to do that, and is known as E-beam, electron beam photolithography, electron beam lithography, not photolithography, electron beam lithography. Instead of electron, you can still use ions, ionistic ions for lithographic applications or fabrication, and is known as focused ion beam lithography, FIB, simply known as FIB. So let's see about lithography. What does litho mean or lithography mean? Have you anybody came across so far?
Litho means stone.
Litho means
Litho
stone.
means stone in
Graphy
ink.
means writing. Yes, litho means stone. Graphy means writing in Latin. So it means writing on a stone using light. Writing on a stone using light is the photolithography. So then lithography means writing on a stone. Using a photon, if you are writing, then it is photolithography. Instead of photons, if you use electron, it is electron beam lithography. Instead of electron, if you use ion, if it is FIB. So you see that this photolithography can provide transformation of or transferring of the nano patterns into a substrate. Whatever the pattern you have, whether you have a nanowire, quantum well, nanotube, or particles, any pattern that you create on the substrate, from here you can get at the end nanostructures, either this one or this one. Okay, so transferring the optical means of patterns, nano patterning on some substrate is known as photolithography, which involves use of light. Okay, use of light. Okay, so we need to have some photoresistance material. Then there should be a protective material. Then the radiation has to be shine on this substrate. So then finally you remove unwanted other surfaces and you end up with the nano patterned surface. So this is the final. From here you are getting like this. SiO2, maybe for a MOSFET or FET applications, metal oxide semiconducting transistors, FET or MOFET, etc. It's possible to make. So transferring the nano patterns into a substrate using photons is known as photolithography. So which essentially involves use of photons, radiation with the photoresist film. Okay. So what are the processes involved in the photolithography? We need to prepare a clean surface. Otherwise, the nano product will be, the nano surface will be contaminated with the impurities. It will badly affect the performances. Then the material should be patterned. The nanostructure that you want, it has to be coated. It should be applied, preferably spin coating. So you take a gel that you obtain from salt gel and subject it to spinning. Okay, spin it on some substrate so that uniform coating on some substrate is done. Then expose this substrate, this coated substrate or coated surface to radiation with the protection. Okay, so photoresistive film. Then after baking, you remove the unexposed area, retaining the unexposed area, then dissolve all these photoresistive film, then you bring them back as a nanostructures from here to here. Prepare the surface, clean the surface. So coat the material that you want to make a nano patterning, expose it to the radiation with the photoresistive film, bake it, so then dissolve it or strip it. Okay, so then do the first processing cleaning, and you have done with the pattern nano patterns. Did it involve any reaction, any chemical reaction involved? For example, so this is your silicon substrate. On it, you want to coat gold nanofilms. Gold nanostructure you want. And you have your thin film, large thin film. All the 3 dimensions are directions, thin film. And this is nano quantum well or quantum dot. And it is possible to do using photolithography, electron beam lithography, or ion beam lithography. So these are the several steps involved in these preparations. Okay. So first is, so you need to have a substrate on which the patterning has to be done. Okay. So a substrate on which patterning has to be done. Then coat with the photoresistive film so that when you expose the sun radiation, it will not affect. So cure it or bake it so that all the moistures are leaving or evaporated. Now you apply the photoresistive film with the mask. Okay, you mask this area. Then rest of the areas, you allow the radiation to fall or electron to interact or the ion to interact. Then what will happen? This area has been masked, covered, shielded, protected. This area is also covered, shielded, protected. But these areas are unprotected. So it will etch. It will etch all these material except this area. Okay. So then you find your suitable solvent and try to etch this mask. Dissolve it. Remove it by some means. So then finally etch the underlying layer also, and you end up with the nano wells or quantum wells. It looks very, very simple. So any size, any pattern is possible. It need not be only circular, rectangular, triangular. Any sizes, any nano patterning is possible. Okay. So I have given here only one material, but you can also make multi layers like this. So not just one layer, one material, multi layers. Tandem cells, a kind of tandem solar cell can be made by using a photolithography or ion beam lithography or electron beam lithography. Okay. So what is a tandem solar cell? Multi solar cells. So to construct a solar cell, you require a PN junction. Okay. How will you construct a PN junction? You take a 2 semiconductor, you integrate them. There is a creation of PN junction. There is a depletion layer, there is a band bending, charge carriers are orienting one direction, negative, positive, and so you expose this PN junction or PN diode with illumination. So depending on the band gap, so there will be a creation of electron and hole. How effectively you can separate the electron and hole you are going to get the efficiency of the solar cell. There we have only one PN junction. So band gap is only one band gap. You can create multiple band gap. Solar cell having multiple band gap is known as tandem solar cells. So what is the use of these tandem solar cells? It is possible to capture all the radiations falling on the solar cell. So if you have only one band gap semiconductor or PN junction as a solar cell material, it will absorb the energy or the wavelength corresponding to only that particular band gap. If you have multi-band gap, all the energy falling on the solar cell will get absorbed and excited. Exciton will be formed, and you separate electron and hole. You will be able to get much better efficiency. Okay, so a kind of a quantum wells is possible to make using photolithography or electron beam lithography or ion beam lithography. So many materials, not only gold, silver, platinum, polymers, carbon materials, oxides, you name any material, it is possible to make. So this is bulk, okay? And someone wanted nano patterned gold like this. And this is the process you will do that. Apply the photolithographic process. Clean the surface, coat it, bake it, expose it, strip it, then clean it. Finally, you end up with the nano structured pattern. So simply to one go. So you want to get the final nano pattern like this. Okay, and this is the process you will do that. So there should be a substrate and material to be patterned, protective layer, baking layer, photoresist layer. So adopt all these processes and you get nano pattern. No reaction is taking place. That's why this photolithography or ion beam lithography or electron beam lithography is kept under physical methods. No reaction is taking place. Silver remains the same. Gold remains gold. Platinum remains platinum. Or any other polymer nanostructure remains polymer. Or carbon material. So we need to clean the surfaces. Definitely. So because the surface may have moisture, dust, or some abrasive particles, or even bacteria, solvent residue, or water, moisture, or anything, oil, silicone, all these are all the possible contaminants that generally can be there on any substrate or material surface on which you are going to make a pattern. And they need to be cleaned. They need to be cleaned. So you can use a sonication, ultrasonication, or use some solvent to remove, etc. Okay. So then photo mask is very important. These days masks are very important. You cannot go without mask. So here we require photo mask. So it will mask against the sun radiation. And you can create this kind of patterning or any other required patterning you can make it. Rectangular, square, circular, zigzag, anything. Okay. So usually employed material for this photo mask is quartz or glass. Okay, quartz or glass. And then you also need to have a photoresist film. Okay, so you can have a positive resist or negative resist. It is understandable. So for example, in the case of positive resist, so you will end up with this structure. In the case of negative resist, you will end up with this structure. Okay, so photoresist film with the help of mask. So finally, you etch the exposed areas, and you are going to get a nano pattern. So it is important that after etching, we have to remove after exposure or after baking with this radiation, the protected layer has to be removed. Photoresist need to be removed. It can be generally done with some solvent using some organic solvents, acetone, TEC, or phenol based or methyl ethyl ketone. These are some of the solvents you can use to remove the photoresist plate. So how will you do? You simply dip it. Okay, so that will dissolve and will go. And you have done with the photolithography. No reactions taking place, but fascinating nanostructure it is possible to make. Need not be only circular, rectangular, triangular, any diameter, given diameter, it is possible to make. Nano patterning, nano photolithography. Okay. So then we move to another two more technique. After that, I think this physical method will go. We'll be ending up. Ball milling. So simply adopt a flooring technique. You take a large grain, subdivide into smaller and smaller. Go on grinding. Take mixie or any other such material, such equipment, and take your bulk material. Go on grinding mechanically or using some sophisticated equipment is known as ball milling until you reach nanostructured materials. Until you reach nanostructured materials. So this is one of the methods, physical methods to produce nanostructured materials. Very specifically, metals, metal alloys, sometimes oxides, nitrates are also can be synthesized or fabricated. Okay, so it is crushed. Okay, so from the bulk material, using some hard crushing materials. So generally, with the help of steel or tungsten carbide, so as a grinding media, so you go on grinding the large size grinds until you reach smaller size or nano size. There is a dedicated analytical equipment to do this. You need not literally grind. Okay, so there is a dedicated ball milling equipment. Some of you or few of you would have experienced it. Okay, so there are jars available depending on the price of the equipment. 2 jars, 3 jars, 4 jars are available with a certain volume. Inside there are high strength wolfram carbide or tungsten carbide or steel balls, grinding media or grinding balls made up of those things. Even zirconia can also be used. And usually it is held in a container. Okay, so we call this as a drum. How it works? This is how it works. This is the vessel inside the ball milling drum, and there are strong balls. They are made up of stainless steel, zirconia, or tungsten carbide. Very strong. You take some amount of bulk material and go on rotating it. Rotation with some RPM. 3000 RPM, 6000 RPM, 7000 RPM, 10,000 RPM. Higher the speed of the rotation, better the efficiency you are going to get it. Quicker the milling will be done. This is typically making a milling process, making a flour from the wheat, making the flour from any other material. Exactly. So there it may not involve like balls. It may be a continuous drum, but here we use balls, zirconia balls or stainless steel balls or wolfram carbide balls. Okay, so as the drum rotates, these balls are moving and they cannot move because the centripetal force will, gravity force also and the centripetal force will not facilitate. It has to fall. When it falls, so in between, they crush the grains. So if you have 100 micron particles, so it will bring up to 100 nanometer or 10 nanometer, depending on the RPM rotation speed and the duration that you are applying, and depending on the strength of the ball you are using for crushing, and of course depending on the material that you are going to fabricate. All these are matters. So assume that so somebody is making a titanium nanoparticles using this. So it means you need to take a titanium ingot. What is an ingot? Bulk material. Okay. So then put inside this vessel. Okay. You need to take very less volume. Otherwise, the rotation will not be effective, or the milling will not be effective. Okay. So you cannot completely fill and start rotating it. It will not rotate even at any RPM. So you take little, then embed number of balls. So this number of balls also will matter. Lesser the number of balls, lesser the efficiency, or the longer the time it will take. Okay. So no reaction is taking place. Titanium remains as a titanium, and it is a closed. It's a closed condition. No escape or no leakage of moisture or oxygen or any other material, any other component. But if you intentionally use ammonia inside this vessel, okay, inside this vessel during this milling process, there is possibility that you may end up with some reaction. For example, if you are taking a titanium, zirconium, iron, boron as a bulk material, and the environment is ammonia, and you can get nanostructured titanium nitride or respective nitrates. Instead of ammonia, if it is done in the air, you are going to get titanium oxide. So it looks there is some reaction. Generally, no. Okay. So since this environment is there, this is forming. Otherwise, there is no reaction. Okay. So if you have some reactive environment in the ball milling, it is possible to get non-structured oxides or respective oxides. So this is the morphology. Okay, so I think this material is made up of some nanotubes, aluminum nanotube or silicon nanotube or titanium nanotube made by ball milling. So nanotubes obtained by ball milling process. So I think this is the last topic in this unit, sputtering. So typically known as AC sputtering or DC sputtering. So essentially involves the removal of the surface atoms with the help of high energetic particles. It may be an electron or it may be an ion. So to bring about nanostructured thin films is the process known as sputtering. So you may have bulk material like this. You do something on this material, then the atoms embedded or associated on the surface will get ejected and will deposit on a substrate. And you can modify the rate of deposition or rate of removal of these ions, duration, etc. So you are going to get different morphologies or different thicknesses. So this is similar to the arc discharge that we have seen last class for the synthesis of carbon nanotube. Okay, so there we are taking carbon rod or graphite rod and supplying the potential at a close proximity. Here it need not be a carbon nanotube. If it is a graphite, you are going to get a carbon nanotube. Let's say if it is something else. Okay, so for example, gold. You are going to get gold sputtered thin film or nanofilm. So typically known as sputtering, very specifically DC sputtering and RF sputtering. Similar system. So there are two electrodes. One will act as a substrate, another one will act as a target. Okay. So one will act as a anode, another one will act as a cathode. So in the case of carbon nanotube synthesis, both made up of graphite. One may be embedded with the catalyst. You are going to get same single wall nanotubes. Here, so the substrate is anode and the target is cathode. So from this, you can sputter on this. You create a vacuum, you remove all the moisture, oxygen, air, etc. You have an inert atmosphere, remove the vacuum, create the vacuum, and now you connect to the source, current source, voltage source. So depending on the work function of the metal, for example, if this target is a copper metal and you are going to synthesize or fabricate a thin film of copper, so need to apply some potential or the energy. That energy should be higher than that of the work function of the metal. So then the surface atoms will be lifted and they will leave their surface and come and deposit here. You can limit how long you can deposit. What is the area, thickness that you can limit during the operation conditions. Okay, very important that the chamber is evacuated under vacuum, no moisture, no oxygen. Otherwise, oxides will be formed. If you are looking for metals, if the reactive environment is oxygen or nitrogen, it is unlikely that you will get the metal. You may get with the whatever the reactive gas environment is available. So if the substrate is conductor, like copper, iron, cobalt, nickel, or even graphite, DC sputtering is suitable. What if the substrate is insulator? You take any oxides or dielectrics. If you want to sputter in the form of a thin film, how will you do that? Because it will not conduct electricity. DC electricity conduction is not possible with insulator. In this case, you can go for radio frequency sputtering. For all the conducting materials, you can use a DC sputtering method, and the rest of the insulating or dielectric materials, non-conducting materials, if you want to sputter in the form of a thin film or nanofilm, you can go for radio frequency sputtering. This is how it happens. Again, vacuum is very important. In most of the physical processes, vacuum is very important. You need to create the vacuum by removing or sucking the unwanted moisture, oxygen, or any other thing. Otherwise, so the sputtering will not be effective. Okay, so good vacuum system is very important. And you can employ DC sputtering if it is a conductor, or if it is an insulator, a dielectric, you can still sputter it by means of radio frequency sputtering. This is how it happens. So on the substrate, okay, so when the high energy is applied, so this surface atoms will lose the energy and it eventually will sputter. Okay, will sputter. Reverse from top to bottom or bottom to top. It's possible to do that. Okay. So I myself have extensively used such sputtering. So during my studentship, so you need to create a vacuum. You will literally see like this glowing. Okay, glowing. So evaporation of the metal atoms, you can literally see. So 20 years before, this equipment costed about 5 to 10 lakhs. These days it may be less. And you get this kind of fascinating morphology. So depending on the duration or the current that you apply, the sputtering rate can be different. Okay, so you can increase the thickness or decrease the thickness. Larger the sputtering time, you are going to get larger the grain sizes. So last method, SMAD. Very recent method developed by Professor Klabunde of Kansas State University. Klabunde and Eisen. So Klabunde and Eisen. So it was developed by Kansas State University very recently. The method is known as SMAD, solvated metal atom dispersion. Yes, SMAD. What this method involves? So there is involvement of dispersion. What is dispersed? Atoms are dispersed, metal atoms are dispersed, and they are also solvated. That's what it means. So we have seen here sputtering. You take a target, connect with another anode, and supply a suitable voltage or potential. So once the the work function of the metal atoms at the surface overcomes the energy that is being supplied, it will evaporate. The surface atom will leave and will deposit. Same thing you do here. Under vacuum, this is your substrate. You supply some sort of energy, thermal energy, radiation energy, laser energy, electrical energy. So you remove the surface atoms and disperse it. Disperse it in a very low liquid, very low temperature liquid, preferably liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen. So what is done is, for example, if this is a platinum, and if you want to get a platinum particle for fuel cell applications, you can take a platinum foil, subject it to evaporation, sputtering. Then platinum atoms will leave the surface and will be healthier. So that you can capture using this very low temperature liquid nitrogen. Okay, so embedded in a organic liquid. What will happen? All these platinum atoms will go and settle there. Several platinum atoms combine together and make a particle, platinum particle. So thousands of, hundreds of, lakhs of such atoms will combine and make a grain, and they are held in a solvent. And the solvent is at a very low temperature. What is the low? What temperature? Liquid nitrogen temperature. Negatively very minus 77 Kelvin. Okay, minus 77 Kelvin degree, very low temperature. So now if you want to get the nanoparticle, you simply open it, bring up to the room temperature. What will happen? Liquid nitrogen, it will automatically evaporate. You don't have to do anything. Automatically liquid nitrogen will be evaporated at room temperature. So you have taken platinum foil and you have evaporated, or you have ejected the surface atoms and collected in the liquid nitrogen containing solvent. Now you are removing the solvent. What you are going to get? You are going to get the platinum powder. It's very simple. In none of these methods there involves a chemical reaction. No reaction is involved. That's why it is physical methods. That's why it is physical methods. I think I am mostly done. So this is what it happens. So for example, if you want to synthesize nickel, you take a nickel ingot, you start evaporate it, atoms will leave the surface, that you can collect with the help of a liquid nitrogen, like some complex will be formed, nickel and liquid nitrogen in the form of a colloid. So now you just open it and bring it to the room temperature, liquid nitrogen will be evaporated and you will end up with the powder or sometimes a thin film. Same nickel in the form of foil, nickel in the form of a thin film or powder nanoparticles. Very recently developed by Professor Klabunde Eisen. So with whom one of my seniors has done postdoc with him, Klabunde, Kansas State Universities, Dr. Shalini. So this method is very much used commercially. You can see that this material can be prepared. So even when in 1997 itself. Okay, so metal atom dispersion technique can be used to synthesize even alloys. Nickel copper alloys on SiO2 can be synthesized. Okay, so the last is laser ablation. All the methods look similar, unlike chemical methods. In all cases, there is a evaporation of the surface atoms and collect it on some substrate. Either you use photons, or either you use electron or laser, in this case laser. But very expensive, but very quality thin film and nanostructure you can get it. Okay. Again, vacuum is very important wherever laser is involved. So otherwise we will not get effective sputtering. So similar to DC sputtering, here laser sputtering. Laser is used, high energy excimer laser is used to etch the surfaces, to remove the surface atoms and collect it on a substrate. Okay, so typically used laser is nickel YAG. Okay, so this high energy laser, when it hits at the substrate, it will create a local temperature, very high temperature. So then it will facilitate to evaporate or vaporize the surface atoms from the substrate. I think that's all I have for physical methods. There are no reaction involves, but there is some waste involves in this. Large structure of a thin film is possible to make, unlike chemical methods, and so there are merits and demerits for chemical and physical methods as we have seen. So I think I'm done with the second unit, mostly covered. So if anybody would like to make some comments, clarification, we can do. Otherwise, we will end. Next unit, we will deal with this green synthesis. That is also a very small unit, 1 or 2 classes only.
Sir,
Yes, please.
which materials can we use as a substrate, sir?
So that depends on the method that you are using. In the case of DC sputtering, the substrate also should be conducting. And in the case of laser ablation, when the high temperature is created, the substrate should withstand the high temperature. It may be 800 degree, 900 degree, any substrate which is stable at that temperature, you can use it. Silicon will serve that purpose, alumina will serve that purpose, titanium will serve that purpose, etc.
Sir, can you kindly explain again the positive photoresistance and negative photoresistance?
So it's a patterning. It is used for patterning. Okay. So whatever the pattern you want to create, whether you want to create a circular pattern or rectangular pattern or any other pattern. So those resist materials are either made up of glass or some polymers. Okay. So they will not allow the radiation to pass through. So radiation will not pass through. For example, how I can tell. So for example, if this is the substrate you want to coat it, okay, something is held on this. Let's say this is gold. This is substrate, silicon substrate, and thin film gold is coated, and you want to pattern it. So the wherever you don't require the gold, that has to be protected, masked. How will you do that? You will have to use a screen or screen mask, and that should be photoresistance. So exposed area or unexposed area, based on the difference, so the etching will be there, or using a photon it can be etched with the help of mask. So usually quartz, glass, some polymers are used for this purpose. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
How etching process is done, sir?
It can be done again. That is also depends on the material that you are dealing with. Silicon. So if the substrate is silicon, it is difficult to etch with the normal acid. Sulfuric acid, nitric acid will not etch. You will have to use HF. There are substrate, it can be even etched with some organic solvent, acetone, methanol, ethanol, or hexane, something like that. Okay. So it depends on the material or the substrate. So use of acid or alkali or solvent. Depending on the characteristic, they will undergo dissolution in one of these, and you can apply them. Acid etching, alkali etching, organic solvent etching. Depends on substrate or the photo mask. And you can also, you would have noticed that in one of the slides, you can also use charged species to etch the surfaces. Okay, charged species to etch the surfaces. Somewhere it is given. Yes.
Sir.
So plasma etching, reactive oxygen you create, and that will clean the surfaces. Plasma etching. Okay, classmate. Yes, please. Someone else.
Sir, so among the three techniques, uh, this lithography we get quantum well, where ball milling we could get quantum wells. So is it possible to get quantum dots using these?
So that's fine. These are the methods available. Depending on the nanostructure you want, you will have to select the method. So if you are looking, if you are using, for example, sputtering, and you cannot expect a quantum well. But if you want a quantum well, you can go for lithography, ion beam or electron beam lithography. If you want a powder, maybe you can go for SMAD. Or if you want a nanostructured platinum powder, simply you can go with the chemical methods, chemical reduction. You take platinum ACAC or platinum tetrachloride or hexachloride, use a reducing agent, and you are going to get platinum particles. So it depends on what kind of nanostructure you are going to have. You want to have it, whether you want to have a colloidal or the powder, thin film, wire, nanowire, or large thin film, etc., or quantum well, etc. So methods available. Depending on the requirement, you use them.
Okay.
And we cannot expect colloidal material, colloidal nanostructure from photolithography. It's not possible. You can get only patent nanostructure.
Yeah.
It may be a quantum well or any other pattern. Correct, na?
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, in physical methods, how the size shapes are obtained, sir?
So very good question. In chemical method, you can control the size and the shape composition. But here, it is very difficult to control the size and the shape. In the case of photolithography, the shape and the size is determined from the mask that you are going to use it, or screen. Okay. So if I think I can share the screen again. 1 second. Okay, so depending on the screen that you are using, you can get. So for example, here, if the screen is like this, or mask screen is having this kind of pattern. Okay, so you are going to end with this kind of nano patterns or nanostructures. Or if the screen mask is having this kind of pattern, or if you want to get this kind of pattern, the previous will not serve. You need to have a similar pattern. Okay, so the size and the shape is determined or depends on the screen mask that you are using. It depends on what kind of pattern you are having. So if you have this pattern, you end up with this one. Or if you have a different pattern, you will end up with this pattern. Okay. Yes. In chemical method, you can direct. If you want a spherical particle, you can get the spherical particle. If you employ lamellar, if you want to get nano rods, you can, instead of Sol-Gel or reduction method, you can go for self-assembly. There you can manipulate the packing parameter, whether you want to get a spherical particle, rods, or layer structure, etc. Correct. Anything else?
Sir,
Yes, please.
sir, photolithography, how much of resolution achieved, sir? Maybe.
So what is resolution? So you can get the pattern. You have the substrate. You have the substrate here. And this is micron or any thickness, you can have it. You can have any thickness. And this thickness is nano. Now, so this is also quantum well. But if you want to get this kind of structure, you can still get it.
Okay.
So what I really don't know what you intend to ask resolution mean. Efficiency you mean or resolution?
Resolution.
It's so if you have a suitable photo mark, you are seeing the screen right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you want to get this kind of nano pattern, for example, so here, except this one, this can be nano, width can be nano, height can be nano, the length can be micron. Okay, so and you want to derive from here, you want to get from here with a suitable screen mask, photo resistance, and etching, all those things. Finally, you end up with this. Okay, so so here, what is the what is that resolution mean here? Or fineness you mean, or accuracy you mean? It all depends on the type of the screen mask you are using it. And it is possible to create. With laser ablation, high accuracy is possible. Whatever the 2 nanometer, 3 nanometer etching you want to do, you can do that.
Okay, sir.
Yes, it's possible.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
See you. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Bye. Bye.